Hey there, and welcome. If you've ever watched your dog do that kind of weird, kind of funny butt drag across the living room carpet, well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to get into this super common and, let's be honest, pretty puzzling behavior known as dog scooting. Right? It's the question every single dog owner has at some point. It might get a chuckle the first time, but it's really your dog's way of trying to tell you that something's not quite right. So let's put on our detective hats and get to the bottom of this. Okay, so the official term for this is dog scooting. And yeah, even though a lot of dogs do it, it's almost always a sign that they're feeling uncomfortable. In this explainer, we're going to unravel this little mystery and figure out exactly what our furry pals are trying to say. Now, I want you to think of the scooting itself not as the problem, but as a symptom. It's a clue. And like any good detective, we're going to follow these clues to unmask the main culprits behind it all. All right, our number one suspect, and this is the big one, is almost always an issue with their anal glands. You see, every dog has these two little sacs on either side of their anus. They're totally normal and used for marking territory. But man, when they get blocked or irritated, they can cause some major problems. So what clues are we looking for with anal glands? Well, if those little sacs get impacted, you'll see the scooting for sure. But you'll probably also see them licking or biting back there a lot. And then there's the biggest clue of all, a really nasty fishy smell. If you notice that, it's a huge red flag, because if left untreated, this can get really painful and even lead to abscesses. Let's move on to our next potential culprit, tapeworms. Now, I know it sounds a little weird. How can a parasite inside their body cause them to scoot on the outside? But believe me, the irritation they cause is very, very real. So here's the deal with tapeworms. You gotta understand the flea connection. Most of the time, dogs get tapeworms by accidentally swallowing a flea that's carrying tapeworm eggs. Crazy, right? Those worms then set up shop and cause a ton of itching around the rear end, which, you guessed it, leads to scooting. This is exactly why your vet is always talking about consistent flea control and deworming. It's all connected. Sometimes the answer is way simpler and a little less glamorous. The cause could just be some leftover business that's causing irritation. This happens a lot if your dog has had a bit of a soft stool, or if they're a long-haired breed where things can just get tangled up back there. The solution here isn't a trip to the vet, but something much more practical. A good diet to firm up their stool, and of course, regular grooming to keep everything neat and tidy. And finally, let's talk about our fourth main culprit, allergies. This one's a little different because it's not just about their butt, it's about their skin in general being irritated. When a dog has allergies, whether it's to their food or something in the air, their whole body can feel itchy. And scooting is just one way they try to scratch an itch they can't reach. So if you're seeing the scooting, but also things like constant paw licking, red skin, or those frustrating recurring ear infections, then allergies could absolutely be the root cause. Okay, we've lined up our suspects. Now it's time to switch gears from investigation to action. What do you actually do in the moment when you see your dog scooting across the floor? First things first, you can gently inspect the area, maybe clean it with a soft cloth and a little warm water. If you happen to have a pet-safe soothing balm, now's a great time to use it. And while you're there, keep that detective hat on. Are you noticing any weird smells, any redness, any swelling? Make a mental note. If the scooting keeps up, or if your dog seems like they're in pain, that's your cue to call the vet. This is super important, knowing when you can handle it at home versus when you really need to call in the professionals. Look, if it's a one-time thing and you can see a pretty obvious minor cause, like a little something stuck in their fur, home care is probably fine. But if it's happening all the time, or if you're seeing those other big clues, that foul odor, swelling, pain, that's a clear signal. Time to see a vet. So what's the vet gonna do? Well, depending on what they find, the treatment could be anything from manually expressing those anal glands, which provides like instant relief, or giving them deworming meds. They might even start a whole allergy treatment plan. And for really tough recurring cases, surgery is sometimes an option too. We've solved the case, we have an action plan. But the final piece of this puzzle, and maybe the most important one, is prevention. How do we keep this from happening over and over again? Let's look at 4 pillars of prevention. First up, diet is huge. A high-fiber food can help create firmer stools, which naturally helps empty those anal glands. Simple, right? Making sure they have plenty of fresh water and get daily exercise is also key for keeping things moving regularly. And of course, especially for our fluffy friends, good grooming keeps that whole area clean and irritation-free. And this whole idea of being proactive is really the key takeaway. Doggozilla magazine puts it perfectly. A proactive approach is essential for effectively reducing this behavior in dogs. It's not just about reacting when you see the scooting. It's about creating a lifestyle for your dog that helps prevent it from happening in the first place. Let's just zoom in on that diet piece again because it's so critical. If your main goal is firmer stools, you want to look for foods with ingredients like sweet potatoes, peas, or beet pulp. If you're starting to suspect allergies, then you might want to explore a limited ingredient or hypoallergenic food. It's all about tailoring their nutrition to what their body needs. If there's only one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. Scooting isn't just some goofy habit. Your dog isn't trying to be silly. It is a signal. It's a direct line of communication. Your dog is using the only way they know how to tell you, hey, something's wrong back here, and I'm really uncomfortable. And that really brings us to our final thought for the day. Scooting makes us focus on one specific part of our dog, but it really opens up a much bigger question, doesn't it? Is your pet's daily routine promoting their health holistically, from nose to tail? It's a great question to ask ourselves to make sure we're doing the absolute best for our best friends.